of sharing during ASEAN.
ASEAN Dailies. First and the foremost news from Southeast Asia.
Hello and welcome to Duran ASEAN. This is Gowri.
And you are with Grace on ASEAN Dailies. We deliver news from Southeast Asia. Quite a lot of things do happen nowadays from Malaysia and also, well, especially in the Southeast Asia. Well, as much as we focus on the internal issues, but I'm sure in Southeast Asia, also especially Thailand, Indonesia, and the Philippines, quite a lot of things are occurring at the same time. So we better keep our ears and eyes open to all those issues that's going around in especially ASEAN region for sure.
That's right. And one of the news, a breaking news actually that I just heard on the way to work this morning is of course about the MH370. A few days ago they found some debris and they flew it to France because they weren't too sure if this was from MH370. And after some thorough examination, they concluded, and also our PM will be giving a press statement shortly, but it has been confirmed that the debris is actually from MH370. So after a long wait, we finally know what happened to the plane, and we have managed to locate it, at least some parts of it.
Well, it is already confirmed, like you mentioned, and then Mr. Najib, he's the international experts examining all these debris in France, had conclusively confirmed. So all this, the airline which carried 239 people, they are finally, from Beijing, from Kuala Lumpur to Beijing in March 2014. Small debris was found, and another second part of the plane was found. So now they conclude that it was from 370.
And of course, the biggest thing about this news is finally the families of the victims will have closure, because all this while nobody had any idea what really happened to the plane. Did it crash? Did it go missing? Are they still alive? But at least now it's conclusively proven, and they also have physical evidence that a flight MH370 has tragically ended in the South Indian Ocean. And of course, investigators will also try as soon as possible to provide further information for the victim of the families, so they know what really happened and they can move on from there, and also to tell them what happened to all the people on board and how they ended up.
The most important thing here is they should be able to provide total and also reliable information to the families of victims, because now they really rely on this information, and they are, of course, all those victims are on all our minds at the moment.
And one of the victim's wife, Jaquita Gonzalez, said, now that it has confirmed as MH370, I know my husband is no longer in this world, but they can't just leave it with this one flapper on. She's actually urging them to continue searching until they can find most of the plane and bring it back. And of course, she still wants her husband's body back so they can have a proper burial according to the customs and the traditions. But of course, Malaysian Airlines has described the confirmation as a major breakthrough, and they hope that the evidence will be found in the coming days that will also help to resolve this mystery. And it's pretty much all over the news at the moment as well, this thing about MH370 and how he has finally been located. We'll have to wait for the press conference to hear what our Prime Minister will say to the victims' family members as well.
Sure.
And another breaking news, which is also not too positive, is a rail crash that happened in India due to flash floods in Madhya Pradesh. And these trains were passing each other near the town of Harda when a flash flood triggered by heavy rain struck the bridge, and this caused the tracks to collapse and some of the carriages got submerged.
Well, this flooding issues in Southeast Asia is getting worse and worse. Just the other day we commented on the Myanmar flooding, and it's getting even worse, even in certain countries, and then now it's also affecting India as well. And when it comes to flooding, a lot of accidents tend to happen. The government or state government, they really need to come up with a mechanism, have more sewage, or look at the developing in infrastructures, because otherwise more people will get affected, especially all those suburban areas, people where people don't expect such things, and then suddenly flooding hits or other kinds of natural disasters happens. Then they may get, or I mean their properties will get damaged. Then where are all those compensations which they have never experienced or expected before?
And one of the survivor, Manoj Mongi, told the Hindustan Times that he was sleeping and he suddenly felt a jolt. So he woke up and he saw that all the passengers were screaming and running. And he even saw 3 women floating, but he could not save them. And let's just look at the frequency of railway accidents that happen in India. Of course, it remains a leading cause of concern in the country. Like you were just briefly explaining earlier, there's not been a proper solution, no framework to solve it, no proper mechanism, and which is why they actually have an estimated of 23 million people who use the railways every day. And although the statistics show that the safety of passengers has improved over the years, the number of crashes has gone down, but the safety in terms of the railway, the flash floods, and how it can affect the trains, that is still a concern. That is still a problem.
For sure.
And also, there isn't much of an avenue to even raise all this, and the fares were increased, and of course there was some clear oppositions, but even the drivers in some cases are not properly trained, and that is also a concern among the people, and because according to the analysis, it is not clear why both drivers would continue to go on with the journey with the train and even cross a bridge at the time when it was flooded. And we would think that a driver who is properly trained would know better than that, to wait for the waters to subside first and then carry on with the journey, and this tragedy wouldn't have happened. And of course, Prime Minister Narendra Modi said the accident was deeply distressing and offered condolences to the relatives who died. And we hope it doesn't just stop there with condolences. Hopefully he addressed it as a very serious problem, and we will not hear about flash floods causing train crash anymore. And let's move on to Singapore at the moment. Pretty interesting news about this guy who was a blogger, and he's about to join the Reform Party, and he wants to become a politician.
Exactly. And then this is very interesting because this Reform Party Secretary General, Kenneth Jayaratham, like you mentioned, he and also Mr. Ngerng have been discussion about this for perhaps the last few months, and also the application has to be approved by the party's Central Executive Committee still. And then he's about 34 years old, and he chose to join this RP as the party's manifesto is similar to what he believes in, such as the provision of the universal health care for Singaporeans, as well as increased expenditure for education as well.
And when was asked about his decision to join the Reform Party over Singapore Democratic Party, which Mr. Ngerng actually volunteered in the past, he said, "It just looks like a natural choice because of the contact I have with Kenneth and what we have been talking about." And of course, Mr. Ngerng is embroiled in a defamation case brought against him by Prime Minister Lee Hsien Loong last year, and he was also charged with making a public nuisance at YMCA event last year.
Right.
And he still has a couple of pending court cases, which he declined to comment about, because, I mean, if you're about to join a political party and you still have pending court cases, that doesn't sound very
pleasant.
Pleasant, or even very possible. You probably want to get all that resolved first. But I think Mr. Roy Ngerng is very excited about joining the Reform Party and see how he can contribute to society. So all the best for him. And another person who is also quite gutsy and brave, I think at least, is South Korean's ex-First Lady in a peace visit to North Korea. So
Well,
yeah.
yeah, she is the ex-first lady, like you mentioned, and then her husband received the Nobel Peace Prize in 2009 or an 8. And then it was also regarding to reconciliation between South Korea and North Korea that he has worked for, and she still hopes. I put the word still because with I mean the North Korean leader has changed to Kim Jong-un, and a lot of assumptions, speculation as well as stories have been leaked from that country regarding this nuclear weapon, and nevertheless, she just visit that country. I'm not so sure whether there will be any possibility or even potential that will find a peace again between these countries.
And of course, the two Koreas are known to technically still be at war. Of course, I mean, Grace, you would know better as well. The two countries are still very hostile towards each other, and it's not like you can just walk into North Korea and expect them to be all friendly to you. Although she did express that her visit could pave way for continuous dialogue, exchanges and cooperation between the two Koreas. However, we do have someone from BBC, Stephen Evans, who commented that the visit seems unlikely to unthaw relations, particularly while Kim Jong-un is pursuing nuclear weapons. And now speaking about that, of course, Kim Jong-un is the leader that he is firm in his own ways, and he's about to launch these nuclear weapons, and he has been launching some training missiles as well, if I'm not mistaken, and South Korea has not been too happy about that. But the question here is, can she just strut into North Korea and say, hey, Kim Jong-un, look, I just want two countries to achieve peace, stop fighting?
Well, it is still possible because she is, after all, a wife of politicians before, and she has a power and she has a sort of, I will say, connections to enter North Korea. All these ordinary South Korean people, they can't enter North Korea. But when it comes to politicians with understanding and agreement, they can find the access to enter North Korea. But then the point here is she already visits the North Korea several times before, and then this is not her first time, so it is not something new that she won't be able to enter. But the biggest question is, can she really talk to Kim Jong-un, the leader of North Korea, for this peace talk?
But what do you think personally? Do you think that
it's very vague because perhaps it's the memory and the moments that she shared, because she did visit North Korea, especially in the female, and also she visited the orphanage and the schools and to look at the education system. She was there for some time. However, now the tension between North Korea and South Korea is just getting worse. And then regarding this nuclear weapon, it looks like the leader of North Korea is not going to do anything about it. Only he's very just getting stubborn.
Right. And it has to be both ways as well. If it's just her wanting peace and going there to fix the relationship between two countries, and Kim Jong-un doesn't quite feel the same way, then that's not quite possible for it to happen as well. All the best to her and her meeting, and hopefully the hostility can be somewhat unthought between the two countries. And moving on to Southeast Asia, another issue or another dilemma that we've been facing for quite some time is, of course, the South China Sea issue. And although ASEAN has finally managed to make a stand against China during the foreign ministers meeting that took place on Tuesday and Wednesday, it seems that the South Asian countries on Tuesday backed a U.S. call to halt land reclamation in South China Sea, underlining unease and in the region over Beijing's continued expansion on the disputed islands. But the fact remains that neither China or the US are members of the ASEAN, but both of them have been quite vocal in the issue, especially the US now, who has stepped in, and they are is full of support of ASEAN and to try to get China to stop whatever reclamation work they're doing and try to achieve a peaceful agreement as well.
Well, when it comes to peaceful agreement, just like how we talked between North Korea and South Korea, between South China Sea, China, and as well as the USA, well, here the peace agreement may be just touching on the surface, but then it's a question mark whether we can actually achieve to have the deeper conversation when it comes to South China Sea matters. And China has been really aggressive when it comes to this particular territory, and then they have been building a lot of the properties there just to mark that it's their land. And Malaysia Foreign Minister Anifa Aman, he said the member nations agree that exercising self-restraint in the conduct of activities that would complicate or escalate tension must be enhanced in South China Sea. But at the same time, the important fact here to add is to strengthen the security, marine security as well, because you never know, because it could be silent war, or the tension between the China and the surrounding region may get worse in the future. So we need to prepare for that, and that there may be necessary for prevention.
And of course, the Philippines Foreign Minister Albert Del Rosario has accused China of carrying out massive reclamation activities in the disputed waters. And China, although they kept saying that yes, we're going to stop, we're going to slow down, we're going to stop doing this, but they have actually shown no sign of halting any of the construction on artificial islands in the disputed areas. And of course, the Philippines is not happy about this, and we have Vietnam on another side as well that is also not quite satisfied. Japan has also been trying to cooperate with the US to sort of hype up this China threat, making noise to interfere in the South China Sea. It seems that this issue that we've been trying to resolve by ourselves has attracted so much attention and so many other countries intervening right now and trying to help us out. And we don't know if that's quite an encouraging thing, because we don't want too many hands to be involved, and that would probably further it could either pressure China to stop, or it could just make things worse, because now China is feeling intimidated as well with US and Japan coming in. And like I mentioned earlier, of course, ASEAN has also finally managed to make a united stand on China's bold reclamations, and this happened during the meeting as well. And that position prompted a very, very sharp rebuke from the Philippines, which along Vietnam has been involved in the most direct territorial confrontations in China. And they are, of course, calling for the termination of all these activities. And they said that all parties should support China and ASEAN in speeding up the negotiations for a code of conduct in the South China Sea.
The question mark here again is, will China listen to this all this sort of advice and suggestions to terminate their activities? Because I mean, of course, all parties need to support both China and ASEAN in speeding up for negotiation for this code of conduct. However, having sort of non-constructive move from China, they have been exercising for some time already. And then, like we mentioned before, also about the tension between China and all the surrounding countries is just getting worse. And now with the help of USA, they want to make sure that the code of conduct is there for China to perhaps stop or terminate their activities there. But the relationship between China and ASEAN is also important, because China is still very strong when it comes to economical sort of power. So with termination of the code of conduct for South China Sea, I'm not so sure how the relationship will carry on from there.
And just a quick update on Cambodia right now before we take a short break. It seems that more Cambodian opposition activists have been charged with insurrection, and this happened on Wednesday when the Cambodian court charged 3 more activists from the opposition party, the Cambodian National Rescue Party, with insurrection in connection with a protest that happened last year, which turned violent. And Hun Sen, of course, has been in power for almost 3 decades, well, Cambodia's formerly democratic government. His government is authoritarian and known for intimidating opponents, and the country's courts are widely seen as doing the government's political bidding. And it seems they have arrested 11 other party members, and now they have arrested 3 more people convicted of the same offense, and they will be given between 7 and 20 years in prison. And what really happened, I think we talked about the Freedom Park before, on how they were trying to reopen it, and that's when the whole thing became violent. It was a small protest, and the concern here is Cambodia's crackdown as well on freedom of expression and also on the opposition members. It's always a problem when the current government is sort of arresting all the dissenters, arresting and putting them behind bars for holding a small gathering or a small protest.
It is very interesting to notice something common from Southeast Asia is that taking away the people's freedom here, because I hope that it's not the culture here in especially ASEAN region when people want to voice out their opinions, and especially the tension between the opposition and the government itself, and also ruling the country by giving the democratic system, however practicing otherwise. So those two sort of the different system, and also how the government deployed all the civilian security. They were armed with the batons and the homemade weapons to keep all these protesters out of the capital's Freedom Park we mentioned before, and the violence and all those protesters. We really need to do something about Cambodia. Not only Cambodia, when it comes to Malaysia, Indonesia, perhaps the Vietnam as well.
Of course. And the whole idea of a democratic country is the fact that the people are free to express themselves, are free to voice out their opinions, and are free to hold demonstrations and protests whenever they see fit. So we will take a quick break. When we come back, we will move on to the economy and business side of Southeast Asia.
ASEAN Dailies. First and the foremost news from Southeast Asia.
Hello and welcome back. You're with Gowri.
And then this is Grace.
And of course, this is our ASEAN Daily, where we bring you news from all over Southeast Asia. And let's move on to Indonesia and put a little focus on Pak Jokowi. And he has come forward to say that technology and culture-based industry is the future of the country, and especially the future for his own political party in Indonesia. And he has emphasized the importance of creative industry to Indonesia's economy, and also reiterated the commitment of his government to boost multi-million-dollar sectors, noting that the country's large population was attractive for investors, which couldn't be more true.
And also at the same time, he has agreed to open more investment opportunities. Like he mentioned about the population of Indonesia, which is very, very large when it comes to population. And then for sure, if he can reach to rural areas as well when it comes to technology development, then there is certainly the potential to grow and also make sure that the whole population of Indonesia will be able to access, and also all this technology development will be there for sure. So he had his presidential campaign last year, and he did promise to support the creative industry, and also he established Bakraf in January after eliminating the formal tourism and creative economic ministry function of overseeing this creative industry from his cabinet lineup, and he wanted to focus on the industry's large business potential rather.
And of course, Bakraf is the creative economy agency that they started up by the government of Jokowi in order to boost the creative industries. And he established it in January, like you just mentioned, and it seems that he has been focused on creative industries, and he even said that it's the government's turn to start giving incentives to sort of encourage and stimulate the whole industry itself. And one of the agency's tasks, we're talking about Bakraf, is to map 16 creative industry subsectors, which include application and game development, publishing, music, film, fashion and cuisine, as well as to identify strong sectors to be its development focus. Now, it's very interesting for a leader, I think, to come forward and say that I want to focus on the creative industry in my country, because there's always so much talent, even maybe in terms of Malaysia, that goes untapped because there's no proper planning or no such framework being conducted by the government themselves. I think if you look at certain countries like Philippines, they have a very vibrant creative industry scene, and everyone's always saying that, oh, Filipinos are so talented, but I don't think that's the case. I think talent is everywhere, but it's really on how the platform is provided and how they are given a chance, and through all these different sectors, all these different incentives that are being given, that they can actually make use of it and accelerate from there. And moving on to Thailand, the cabinet has approved a 185.89 million job creation scheme. That's 185 million US dollars that's been given for the job creation in Thailand, and this is enough for 5,000 projects that would create enough jobs to affect 2 million households. And the project, which would comprise over 6,000 activities, are largely aimed at the agricultural sector.
It is very interesting because Thailand, a lot of people sort of are in the process of losing hope when it comes to unemployment issues in Thailand. But having this job creation scheme, hopefully their aim, which is to help the farmers and also low-income earners, will be able to get more opportunities and also be able to stimulate this grassroots economy as well. And they need this help from the government for sure. And meanwhile, our deputy government spokesman, March General Vietnamese, said that the government was seeking to further this kingdom's trade ties between South Korea and via this bilateral free trade agreement. Well, between Thailand and South Korea, yes, there has been sort of exchange agreements been going on before, but then to boost up this economical trade and also to be able to focus on this agriculture side, perhaps we need to look at very different areas in the agriculture industry, because not only you need all those equipment, but then what are the sectors that Thailand need to provide to farmers and low-income earners.
And with that, we will take another quick break before we come back and move on to the society, arts and culture part of Southeast Asia.
ASEAN Dailies. First and foremost news from Southeast Asia.
Hello and welcome back to Duran ASEAN. You're still with Gowri
and Grace here,
and this is our ASEAN Daily, where we bring you news from all over Southeast Asia, and sometimes we venture a little bit out to other Asian countries as well. And in this case, we are talking about Japan, who are preparing to commemorate the 70th anniversary of their Hiroshima atomic bomb attack.
And this was expected to draw participants from more countries around the world than ever before. And this Hiroshima's Peace Memorial Park attracts the huge number of people on the August 6th, which is just today. And the now UNESCO World Heritage Site, the Peace Memorial is known in Japan as the Nuclear Dome. And it used to be Industrial Promotion Hall, and it was the only structure near ground zero to survive during this bombing. And of course, this year there will be 100 countries. They're expected to send as representatives as well.
And this year also, U.S. Ambassador Caroline Kennedy will be accompanied by Rose Gottenmuller, who is the Undersecretary for State for Arms Control and International Security. They will then travel to Nagasaki to attend the ceremony that marks the August 9 bombing of the southern city. And Japan had also been hoping that the U.S. President would visit Hiroshima this year from the city and make a call for a nuclear-free world. And I think the whole world has pretty much come to its senses, especially those who are actually have been involved in some atomic bombing, and they know exactly how destructive nuclear energy can be. Of course, it's something that's very, very powerful, very, very destructive, and can like what happened with two cities here in Japan, and they have been calling for this nuclear energy or nuclear bombs to stop using, because it only brings damage and nothing good can ever come out of it. And of course, speaking of Hiroshima and Nagasaki, the two dates are August 6 and August 9, 1945, which also marked the end of the Second World War. And so they will be commemorating both dates, starting August 6 today and also August 9 when it happens. And moving on to India. Well, we all know the stereotype with Indians, that they love drinking and they love getting drunk, and India is actually observing a Don't Drink and Drive Day in its country. Well, unfortunately they are, and this is due to the 90,000 road accident death that they have been facing every year due to drunk driving. So this is a campaign to sort of curb that from happening.
Well, I don't know what to say about this campaign, but then I hope that this movement will be able to educate and send a really proper message to all those public. Well, this community there are communities that are against the drunken driving, and then this is to address the rising problems of drunk driving, also to prevent it from happening. So this has good motive, and then to be able to motivate hold the public. However, the execution part and the starting implementing this plan is another another step that they need to look at.
Right.
And then as a part of initiative, restaurants, bars, pubs, even cab services providers will take measures, including providing complimentary non-alcoholic beverages to customers, which is a good start. And then well, you're right here that all those Indians are quite well known for having a lot of alcoholics, or even get addicted to alcohols. However, these schemes and also perhaps these methods of having discounts for for customers who come with all these drivers, or otherwise they can be offered for the day customers who can hire cab services as well.
And just before we wrap things up for this morning, another interesting news from Vietnam actually, where they are using dummy traffic cops to slow down the drivers in the city of Vietnam. And I would definitely recommend using this in Malaysia, just to have dummy mannequin or just images of cops everywhere, just so people will stop driving while texting or answering their phones, or doing other illegal things.
That's very
in the car. Right.
That's very cute way of giving the warning signs to them.
And the funniest thing is, it actually worked in Vietnam. They said that the accidents have actually been reduced since the dummies were introduced to the country. Well, very interesting step there, Vietnam. And with that, we are wrapping up our ASEAN Daily for this morning. Don't forget to like us on Facebook, follow us on Twitter, Instagram, and also subscribe to our YouTube channel for all the daily updates on news and interviews. All you have to do is look for Durian ASEAN.
As well as you can look for Durian ASEAN by visiting our website, durianasean.com. And when you're on the go, do download our app on your phone and also other electronic devices, durianasean.com, and where you can get more contents from our website as well as our integrated social medias.
And we have a very special interview coming up later at 9 o'clock. Stay tuned for that one. And this is Gowri and Grace signing off for our Thursday.